Welcome back to South Florida Journal, FAU's College of Arts and Letters student-run radio news program. So we're here at the beautiful Davie campus, and we're live with President John Kelly. President Kelly?
Well, it's great to be back in Davie and in Broward County. We have 3 of our branch campuses here, and I just love being down here.
Wow, so President Kelly, we're discussing the new strategic plan. What are your thoughts of the plan so far?
Well, we put a lot of work into the plan. We spent almost at least 6 months, maybe 9 months last year working through the strategic plan. And there's a lot I need to tell you. I'll be right there.
When you're standing at the edge of discovery, what do you see? We see the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. In 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson challenged the university's pioneers. It's time now for a new, adventurous, imaginative, courageous breakthrough for a revolution in education in America. From its very inception, FAU was envisioned as the first of a new breed of American universities that would throw off the ivy-covered trappings of the tradition-bound world of academia. Ranked among the most culturally and ethnically diverse universities in the U.S., students from all 50 states and more than 180 countries make Florida Atlantic University a home away from home. FAU students and researchers are contemporary thinkers, achievers, and explorers who contribute to the complex world that surrounds them. Florida Atlantic University is a place where creativeness is cultivated and inventiveness is encouraged. It's a place that will challenge you to be greater than yourself. For those with courage, for those with ambition, you have found your home. For the bold and fearless, for the daring, Florida Atlantic University is your springboard. It's time to explore. It's time to transform yourself. A higher education should be more than what you expect. Be daring, be bold, be FAU.
Good morning. It's great to see such a big crowd here. I tell you, there's a lot of traffic on 95. It took a while to get here. Well, welcome to the State of the University 2015 version. I want to start by introducing a few special guests that are here. We have members of our Board of Trustees, I think members of the Board of Governors as well. If the trustees would please stand and be recognized. We also have members of our vice presidents, members of our executive leadership team, several elected officials, and just friends of the university. If you would stand, those of you who are guests or members of the executive team. And I'd like one very special guest to stand, my wife. You can stay standing. I'm going to embarrass you for a minute if you don't mind. I just want to let the university community know how much she means to me and to this presidency. Without Carolyn, there's no way that I could keep the pace of what goes on inside the university. She gave up her career, her friends, and really a part of her identity to come here. She was a very powerful figure in South Carolina. Before she left, she got commendations from the House and the Senate for the work that she did there. And she gave it up to be here with us. She's a great mom. She's a wonderful wife. And she's a hell of a fundraiser, too. So thank you so much, sweetie, for everything you do. On September 11th, I think everyone remembers, we had this wonderful opportunity on a challenging day in the country's history to host the University of Miami game. And at that game, Captain Larry Irvin sang on national TV with the American flag rolled out across the whole football field to 660,000 viewers, the national anthem. He was, of course, a first responder at 9/11 in New York, lost many of his friends there. And today we're at the unfortunate place of a one-week anniversary of another tragic event, and that's the loss of the lives in Paris. So if you would, please join me for a moment of silence for those families and individuals destroyed by that tragic day. Thank you. I'll start today by celebrating a life, and it is a life of a past one. There are many people that pass during the year of a university, and you never know which one of us it's going to be. We had a person who was really instrumental in the founding of our med school, Mike Friedland. And Mike, from the beginning, envisioned a med school, almost an impossible task for our university, went through many trials and tribulations to help put together the med school, became the first dean of the med school. Mike also established our MD programs. He created this idea that there could be, instead of us going to the enormous expense of building a hospital and staffing a teaching hospital and managing a hospital, that he could actually get a consortium together, and he got 5 hospitals to agree to a consortium. And in doing so, he not only built a strong sense of the connection of our university and the med school to the community, but also saved a lot of resources that the university would have had to spend to build the College of Medicine. Mike, after a long battle with cancer, passed away this year. But before he passed away, he got to see the great work that David Borkman had done after Mike stepped down as the dean. And I got to see much of this work happen this year when we graduated our very first College of Medicine class. It was wonderful to see the graduates come out. 100% placement in their residencies, just incredible. 100% placement of the first class ever. David successfully took us through full accreditation for the med school, and I was told many people this: it's much easier to be a university president and get the job doing university president than it is to get into med school. 4,372 applications this year for 64 positions, and just really great. And David, congratulations to you, and deep regards to the Friedland family for the gift that Mike gave us. So thank you all very much. Caroline and I had the opportunity to attend an event about 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, and it was for what they call the Majestic Owls. This is the first time the Majestic Owls have met, because the Majestic Owls are those individuals who graduated from FAU 50 years ago. And it was really interesting sitting with this group. There were 140 graduates of the class of 1965. 140 graduates. This year, there will be 7,099 graduates in 2015. So 50 years later, 7,099 graduates. And one thing I think it's always been special about FAU is the personal way that we do a graduation ceremony. So all 7,099 of those graduates will have an opportunity to walk the stage, be in the audience with their family. We'll do as many ceremonies as necessary to be sure that every graduate has the right to cross the stage, receive their diploma, shake the president's hand, and be recognized by their family. Those first graduates, to listen to their stories is really fascinating, because the FAU of today is so different from the FAU of 1965. They talk about a place where there were no trees and no grass, and runways were your parking lots. And they talk about the ice that was used to cool the buildings down, because the air conditioning systems were not as obviously as advanced as they are today. They also talk about something, I'm not sure if this is true, but they claim there used to be rattlesnakes this big around. I think they've probably gotten bigger over the years. all across the campus, so you were always having to be careful of where you walked. And some of you that may have been around at that time may remember that. One of the things that I enjoyed the most, though, was talking to these individuals. The oldest of that group was a woman who's 93, who's working on yet another book that she wants to make sure she gets published this next year, is their inherent love of the faculty. They told us, Carolyn and I, over and over, we just loved the faculty. They were so good to us that we don't know how they were able to assemble such a great faculty so quickly. And so that story, I think, is a piece of FAU's legacy, and I hear the same kind of story today from graduates about what the faculty have done to make their experience here extremely special and open a gateway to their career that could not have been imagined otherwise. So with that said, let me talk about a few other people who are graduates of FAU who are pretty outstanding. I don't normally carry people's t-shirts around, but this is a gift that I got, and Carolyn and I do get some interesting gifts, but this is a gift from Steve Swanson. Steve Swanson wore this t-shirt, this FAU t-shirt, on the space station. He was an astronaut. I think he was class of 1986. And Steve proudly wore this on national TV in the space station. And then Steve just received the Talent Award from FAU. And he's somebody that we can all be very, very proud of. During his acceptance speech of the Talent Award, he talked again about the fantastic faculty that he had at Florida Atlantic University. We also have a very special member of the performing arts here with us today, Steve Kudish. Steve, where are you sitting? Mark, I'm sorry, where are you sitting? Could you stand? Just How many of you have seen the show House of Cards? There's your star. He is the Senate Majority Leader, right, in the show. And FAU really lacks having many politicians in office. So we're hoping that with your help, we might be successful with the legislature. But Steve is a Tony-nominated entertainer, just a fantastic person on Broadway, and a great representative of FAU. Thank you so much for being here with us. And then there's another great member of our graduate classes, and that is a person named Jeremy Murphy. Jeremy is a member of the class of 1998, and Jeremy is the Vice President of Communications at CBS. And I'd like to ask Jeremy to join us live right now. Jeremy.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, how are you today?
I'm great.
I just wanted to remind everybody how you got your start. So you were here at FAU, and we have a print of a newspaper called the University Press. I believe that was the first year it was ever published. And I believe there's an article here called Murphy's Law that you wrote.
That was my column, yeah.
And the title of that is Dreamweaver Gets Me Through Traffic to the Nearest 7-Eleven.
Now I just walk there.
So you can see your article here. It's really, I guess, the founding of how you got started was by
yes, absolutely. It's my first job.
And how does somebody your age, so young, become a vice president of CBS?
Hard work, a lot of discipline, and using what I learned at FAU and running the student paper. Those skills have brought me through my life.
And I know you've been back here a time or two, so you still have family in the area?
Yes, my mother lives in Boca Raton, and I always use the opportunity to drive around the campus and see how much it's grown. And, when I was there were airfields too. That's where we parked. So it's grown so much, and I'm so proud of it. And my degree it gains in value every year.
Well, tell us a little bit about what you do at CBS.
I run a magazine called Watch Magazine, which is our glossy entertainment magazine that we give to our viewers. It's about 1 million circulation, and what we do is we bring all our stars to exotic locations, and we do fashion shoots and photo shoots. So we kind of consider it Vanity Fair through the eyes of CBS talents.
That's wonderful. Well, let me offer you, next time you're in Boca, stop by and let's have lunch together, Caroline, and I'll treat you to a taco house.
You mean 7-Eleven.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. Great to be with you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Too. Thank you so much.
Now let's transition from our owls who have gone on to success to those who are the next generation.
And the winner of this 3M contest, Hannah from Boca. You're a freshman in high school and you made this ocean probe. Can you tell us how it works?
Well, it's an ocean energy collection device that converts the kinetic movement of current energy into electricity. And this string simulates the current energy in any moving body of water. And as I pull it, it illuminates the LED light system.
Hannah is a ninth grader at Florida Atlantic University High School. 12 before 12 on a Wednesday. Remember this name, Hannah Herbst. At 15 years old, she's already been named America's top young scientist.
And what would you be able to power with this potentially?
Well, I can power my LED lights, and what that can power is you can charge batteries, which can power a number of devices all over the world.
But you know, obviously the three of you will go to any college you want to go to, but I'm just I'm interested so we can write it down and just predict it. Where are you going to go to college?
I'd really like to go to like MIT or Harvard.
I think something in California.
And Hannah?
Well, I'm dual enrolled at Florida Atlantic University High School, so actually next year I'll be in college at Florida Atlantic University.
How old are you?
15.
Amazing. Amazing.
Hannah is an amazing young woman. She would be with us here today, but she and her dad are actually in Silicon Valley meeting with the Google people. It will not surprise me if she comes back with a job or maybe even running the place. She's very impressive. We're really blessed at this university to have that unique school on this campus. It is not a fancy school if you've been over there, and I hope many of you have. It is not a modern building, but the joys of what happens inside that building really bring young people to life way before age would suggest they might be ready. And just to give you a few examples of some things that go on within that school and what it ends up meaning for the university. First of all, there are 4 lab schools in the whole state of Florida. FAMU has one, Florida State has one, University of Florida has one. The top-ranked lab school in the state is FAU. And so the K through 8 school of all the schools in the whole state of Florida, 3,100 schools, is in the top 15 of those schools, number 14. And the things that they do is give a person a chance to grow as fast as they can grow and to be everything they can possibly be with mentors all the way around them. And I think we as a university could also learn a little bit more about how to do that, how to bring more mentors into the university. I know many of us, many of the deans are now building advisory boards. I would love to see the pillars and platforms that I'll talk about later all put advisory systems around them so that we're bringing more and more people who can show people things through eyes that they cannot see through by themselves. I would also say the high school itself. Hannah mentioned on there, there's one, the number 3 runner-up said that she was going to go to either MIT or to Harvard. Number 2 says they're going to go to one of the University of California systems. The winner, our Hannah, will be at FAU as a college student next year, because if you go to FAU High, you can immediately enroll in college at FAU. And I have shaken the hands on this stage of 13 young people so far who are graduating college before they finish high school. It's just incredible what goes on in that school. There's a young man named John Sousa. John has published 2 papers in the New England Journal of Medicine, a very prestigious journal. At age 17, and he's the youngest graduate to ever go to med school at the University of Florida. He entered med school at age 17. And then when you think about the Bush girls, you met those girls last year, all 3 of them now in master's programs under the age of 18. When you think about the fact that this place has a way of giving a young person a chance to go to law school at Georgetown at age 18, it's really expediting the careers of a young person and giving the impossible, making it possible. And so we're really proud of the school. I was told we did a 4.0 owls for the recruits we're trying to recruit for this next class. And we did a reception for the 4.0s, any person who had a high school GPR above 4.0. 10 young people from the school came over to me and said, well, I'll be graduating high school and college next spring. So that's this coming spring. There are 10 more coming. I've shaken 13 hands so far, and there are 10 more on the way. So it's really exciting to see that kind of talent for Florida Atlantic University. So now, for some real fun. Peter Hall and Stacy Volnick and I last year were captivated. I have never watched America's Got Talent before, never really knew much about what it was, but I assumed it was about people with talent. But I didn't know exactly what the show was. But there was this young person who was an FAU student who was on America's Got Talent. So I became completely focused on every day, what time in the show, and Stacy and Peter and I would text each other constantly during the show. And we got to watch Emil and Daryl perform and blow the audiences away, finished in the top 10 in America's Got Talent. Emil is 18 years old. He's another one of these child geniuses. He's a pre-med student at FAU. He's 18, and he's a junior already. And yet he's on the road all the time with his band performing. They were both born here in Hollywood, and their mother and grandfather, Leonard and Alla, are here. Where are you located? Right here. I tell you, on America's Got Talent, they showed the grandfather, and it's just this deep story of love. A Russian immigrant who came here and was able to teach his kids the cello, his grandkids the cello. They loved their grandfather so dearly, and they took it to a new level. He taught them how to play a cello, and they decided to do something quite different with it. So without further ado, Emil and Daryl, the rock cellos. Amazing, amazing. Pre-med, I tell you. You guys are awesome. That's fantastic.
Researcher at Florida Atlantic University has developed a new test for dementia.
Climbing. Enter Florida Atlantic University's Buy versus
University's
Rent
Harbor
Index.
Branch Oceanographics researchers are in charge of installing the world's largest network of remote-controlled water
Mónica
sensors.
Escaleras es la encargada de este estudio, profesora asociada de Economía, directora de la Iniciativa de Sondeo sobre Economía y Negocios en la Universidad de Florida Atlantic.
From the research at Florida Atlantic University, this uses a cell phone camera to track and diagnose medical issues right from your home. Possible treatments for cancer on the ocean floor. That's what researchers at Florida Atlantic University are trying to do.
Welcome, Professor of Middle Eastern Studies at Florida Atlantic University, Dr. Robert Rubio joins us.
It's a combination of factors. Let me take
astronomer at FAU says in the last few hours we've already learned things about Pluto's size and position that could change everything we know about the universe.
Exploration kind of ends today.
So, let's talk about something less exciting. Let's talk about the strategic plan. I promised you all last year when I was on the stage at the State of the University that the provost and I would meet with every academic department in the university and that we would come up with a plan that reflected what we felt like was the strengths of the institution, aspirations of the institution, and met the challenges that we were facing. Everybody, I think, remembers where we stood in September of 2014. Very difficult year. We were the bottom of the barrel of the state university system metrics. We were facing losing $7 million of recurring funds because of that, and we had a lot of things that we needed to address and fix at the university. People were quite frank with us. Gary and I did meet with all the academic departments, met with many other units as well, met with all the campuses, and tried to reflect what we heard as what we believe would be the opportunity to grow this into what we called the fastest improving university in the country. As we moved through that process, we found even more things that people were frustrated with that had not been acted upon, and we've tried our best to begin to work toward fixing the things that are broken so that we're not talking about those things, we're only propelled toward the future. We divided the strategic plan into a number of initiatives, and one of those was to build pillars and platforms. Pillars were things that we were going to stand up and compete against the country or the world with, and platforms were going to be things of high substance that we did across disciplines. It wouldn't matter which discipline it was in. You could participate in a platform. Pillars, we would hope that you would think of bringing all kinds of disciplines together to address those pillars. And so the other tenet was that we would live up to our word and we would budget to the plan. And there are a lot of strategic plans around the country that sit on a shelf, and there are a lot of strategic plans that are talk, but there's no resources invested in the plan itself. And so we've stayed committed to investing resources. We have now filled 2 of the pillar director positions. Soon there will be a 3rd filled, and a search is underway for the 4th. So soon we'll have the leadership in place to have all 4 pillars filled. There is an urgency about that, but there's not going to be a rush. We can't afford to make mistakes with those kinds of hires. And I think with our first 2 hires, we've done extremely well. James Galvin came to Florida Atlantic University from New York University. James and I met. I think he was really fortunate. We recruited him in December from NYU, and I checked his home address before he came into the office and noticed that it was 20 degrees and that it had not been above 20 degrees in about a week. So I didn't hesitate to remind him that today was 72 degrees in Boca Raton. And I know that didn't have a lot with the final decision, but it is a recruiting advantage we have here if we're trying to bring talent from other places, which is one piece of the plan, is to do that. Another big piece of the plan, though, is also to take care of the talent we have here at the university and help that talent grow to its full potential. Since James has been here, he came in May. You saw some of the news clips. James has been on national media a number of times. Jim, as he goes by, has been on national media a number of times. very congenial person to work with. Most recently, I guess the thing that probably caught most of the country's attention is Robin Williams' widow coming forward with the understanding now that maybe what Robin was suffering from was Lewy body dementia. And Jim became the expert that spoke about that and how Robin's symptoms and his diagnosis would seem to point to that being what he was dealing with. So we're really proud of having him here at Florida Atlantic University. We also have Greg Fields, who has joined us. Greg is a very distinguished faculty member, member of the National Academy of Inventors. He's the new head of the chemistry department at FAU. He's also a member of the American Association Advancement of Science. So he's well credentialed, and he's our first person who is here who is also a Scripps faculty member. So we're building the brand with Scripps and Max Planck at the Jupiter campus, and Greg is a key part of that. A third member of that group is Jason Hallstrom, and Jason is a National Science Foundation Career Award winner. He'll be heading up the sensing pillar, the remote sensing pillar. And as I'm talking about these people, let me put your minds at ease, because we are hiring new people, but we also have people here who have worked very hard to create this university and make a great university that Gary and I got to see during our visits to the campus. So one thing you're probably all waiting to hear: yes, there will be raises this year. So, promise you that. And we're working toward resolving exactly how much and when and all that, but hopefully we'll have that information out for you very soon. I'd like to invite Jason to come up because he has a really cool thing that he's developed, and I want to ask him a few questions about this device. And I warned him about 10 or 15 minutes ago I would do this to him. So,
lots of warning.
Lots of warning. So Jason has created a way that he can communicate with things, all kinds of things. He can even communicate with the Internet of Things. But what he's trying to do is figure out a way in which he can communicate with physical things like a river running through the landscape and prevent pollution events. He's also thinking about things, how he could help, and I'll let you hold your toy there. So my dad passed away from Parkinson's disease. And in his latter days, and not latter being the last weeks, the last couple years, as you know, with a Parkinson's patient, they develop a shuffle. And before their brain can really pick up, they're getting ready to fall. You can tell it. You can tell it. You can holler at them or something, and maybe they'll stop before they have that collapse. But the feet start shuffling before the brain can really pick up what's going on. Jason is taking this technology, which is that size, and beginning to think about, is there something he could do with gait so that he could tell a person, and I think the data is something like 85% of the people over 85 years old who fall and break something below their waist end up in assisted living. So can you create devices or things that would allow people to not have to go to assisted living because they were pre-warned that they were getting ready to fall? And so take it from that stage down to putting something in my brain that keeps me from having dementia or Alzheimer's or Parkinson's.
So the device that we have here, this is something that we developed in the context of large-scale water quality monitoring. So we have a project that's supported through the National Science Foundation to do large-scale instrumentation of the Savannah River Basin from the headwaters up in North Carolina, Georgia, and South Carolina, all the way down to the estuary of the Atlantic. This device has shrunk in size from about the size of a Rubik's Cube, and the device you see here, which was developed about a year and a half ago, is about 1.7 by 1.7 by 1.7 inches. The device that we've developed at FAU and that we're getting ready to release is something called the FAU SOAR, and it's considerably smaller with computational capacity that exceeds what was available on the first NASA space shuttle. So I tell people that when you work in the area of embedded system design and embedded sensing, every couple of years you get the advantage of looking like a genius because the underlying hardware components keep getting better, they keep getting smaller, and perhaps best of all, they keep getting cheaper. And so as a result of that, we have the ability to take this kind of technology and shrink it down, not to the size of a quarter or to the size of a dime, but even smaller, and to embed that throughout areas to monitor our loved ones when they're aging in the home, to potentially implant those on people so that we can understand changes in gait behavior, changes in cognitive function. And so that's where this technology is going. Now, this technology for many years was referred to as wireless sensor networking, but industry has gotten a hold of this, and now this is referred to as the Internet of Things. And when we talk about the Internet of Things, what's coming just in 2020 is 50 billion connected devices just like this that are going to change the way that we understand traffic patterns. It's going to change the way that we understand how our loved ones are aging. It's going to change the way that we monitor our water systems. It's going to change everything in the same way that the Internet revolutionized everything. So that's what the Internet of Things is about. And industry is asking, where does the Internet of Things live? And the Internet of Things lives in Boca Raton, Florida. So we're just thrilled to be here.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Great work. Let me also say our faculty here are playing to win. I've got another little prop I'll share with you. This little snail, he's not in there anymore, but the shell, is eaten in some places. Some people take the snail out and consume it. But it has a venom in it, too. And Dr. Frank Marie in our Department of Biochemistry and Chemistry has isolated a venom from the snail that actually has function in a nicotine receptor in the body that can either work for cancer treatment or for addictions. And so that's, again, taking a biosystem and turning it into something that is a treatment potential for dealing with very serious problems in society. Another faculty member, Samir Hinjula, is one of the first people to get a Facebook grant. And Facebook, doesn't traditionally give a lot of grants away, but that grant is very focused on cyberbullying. So our faculty that are already here, I shared with you 3 faculty who've come, but the faculty who are already here are doing extraordinary things. Our Val is here, Val Brister, I see right there. The College of Education in many universities has really difficult times finding funding for what they're doing, but not our College of Education. Our College of Education has a $1.2 million grant that looks at autism. They have another $1.8 million gift from the Taft Foundation that really looks at how you help kids who have disabilities move into the highest possible place in life so that they actually become more self-sustaining. And then they have a $4.3 million grant to work with elementary teachers. And so when you think of all those different things that are put together, how does a college of education do that? Because they play to win. They go after it, and they prove themselves to differentiate, and our College of Education is one of the highest performing college of education in terms of getting grants. So Val, congratulations to you and your folks. But it's not all about money. It's also about ideas. And our dean of the business school challenged his faculty to come forward with some things that are differentiators, something that's different and new and special, and build something that people maybe haven't considered doing yet. So a woman by the name of Monica Escaleras came forward with the idea of a poll that she could run to figure out what people were thinking. And then she was smart enough, and Dan was smart enough to not only help fund that project, but to tell her, go look for colleagues. So she went to Design and Social Inquiry and was able to find a colleague that could help her, and that colleague is Kevin Wagner. And Kevin, are you here? Could you come up and share some of this exciting work you're doing? You're the most talked about people in news media the last 2 days. So it's fantastic what you guys are doing. Kevin's a political scientist and a co-conspirator, I would say, with Monica.
Yeah, one of the things that happens during a presidential campaign is a lot of people always want to know what's going on, what are people thinking, how might they vote? And agencies from outside the state have been coming in here for a long time and saying, this is what Floridians think. So I said to Monica one time, I said, we've been polling a lot on economics and economic indicators of Hispanics. Let's poll Floridians. Let's take a look at where they stand on big political issues, where they stand in the races. And, we put together our first poll this year. We just did our second one just this week. And we've gotten huge pickup. People say, well, look, the people at Florida Atlantic University, they know Florida. They know what's going on in Florida. They can say something about it. And I think that's why we've gotten so much more pickup than some other polls.
Yeah, and I saw, Donald Trump did well in that poll.
He did.
And he has 4.3 million Twitter followers. So he tweeted your poll out, and now 4.3 million, in addition to all the MSNBC and everything else, the coverage you got. But that's just great creative work, and it's proof that if you're thinking together and you're working across disciplines, you can own the national stage. Congratulations to you, Kevin. Very well done. We're also now beginning to see some wonderful gifts come to the university, recognizing that this different way of looking at things might have an opportunity to create some solutions to problems that people would not normally think of giving to. And yesterday we had a wonderful opportunity with Heather Coltman and her folks and Colin Polsky to put what I'd call a platform and a pillar together. And that the Janke family has given $1 million now to have $50,000 a year awards that would come to faculty to leverage against research opportunities outside the university. So what they have found a home in is the idea that you could have an environmental conservation work that was done on environmental issues, but you could link that with the platform, that would be the pillar, the platform of peace, justice, and human rights. And so they have given the university just yesterday $1 million to support that initiative. Then there are other ones that are kind of under the covers, not quite as large, but the idea that we would have entrepreneurship across the curriculum and leadership across the curriculum, things that you would want all of our students to have a touch and a taste of, is actually coming now into fruition. It's coming to fruition internally, but it's also having a lot of external validation. So what we have is, this donor will remain anonymous for now because he's working on a deal that I think is even bigger than this. And that's a large gift that would go to the Entrepreneurship and Tech Runway program at FAU. But he's also saying, look, if you want to be on this Tech Runway board, if you want to get people on the board, maybe these board members would be willing to pay $10,000 a year to be on the board. And I know that Pete LaBello is doing that same thing with the College of Engineering, of thinking, can you also help us beyond your wisdom, but bring your expertise and some funds that allow us to build some things that we could not have built otherwise. And so now Tech Runway just got another $100,000 grant for veterans to start entrepreneurial companies. So we have a large number of vets who are back at school at FAU, and this gives them a special source of funds to try to start new companies as well. We have one company that is, there's other companies that graduate. One company particularly, it's called Bed in a Box. Jan Bednar runs that company. Jan started that company a couple years ago. And that company now has annual revenues of about $800,000 a year, and I think it's around 16 employees that he has as a student at FAU. He won not only the FAU contest, but he won the state contest, and has now got a company that's moving into the marketplace. We have another couple of young people here at FAU, students at FAU, who are trying to stop online cheating with the company they've started. So those people who cheat, you're in trouble. Because these guys, I think, are going to know how to catch them. And while those things are important, playing to win is very important to me. You don't play and just see how you do. You play to try to win. And we've got some examples that weren't here a year ago, but I think they're wonderful things for us to talk about. Our College of Nursing's graduate program is now one of the top-ranked graduate programs in nursing in the country. And our College of Business's MBA sports program, Jim Reardon's program, is ranked number 5 in the country. I'm not talking about the state. We're talking about the country. And then we just found out this week, Dan Gropper sent me a note, that the MBA program, our MBA program, is ranked one of the top 5 most cost-effective programs for students in the country. Starting salary of our MBA graduates, $105,000, number 5 in the whole United States. And I'm just so proud of you guys for stepping up to the plate and really playing to win. So thanks so much. As I also mentioned to you earlier, those are some things we're doing new. There are some things that we had to fix. We did not do well in the Board of Governors metrics. They now recognize that we took it seriously. We hired 26 new advisors. We weren't doing an adequate job advising our students. We had students who were making bad decisions because there was no one around to really give them an opportunity to see things differently in a different mode. We put new advising software in. We originally called this intrusive advising, and Gary decided that was not a very user-friendly name. People do not like being intruded upon. So we changed it to, it's still the same stuff, but we call it appreciative advising now. And what it means is we're here to track you and help you. Because if you're in trouble and you're not asking because of pride or a family situation or whatever might be the reason you're failing to come forward, you're going to get probably deeper and deeper into a problem. And you may end up deciding to lay out of school for a while or drop your courses or those kind of things. So we intrude, appreciatively intrude, to get you in the office and find out, did something happen? Yeah, my dad lost his job. Okay, let's figure this out. You know, there are scholarships, there are other ways that we might be able to help you. Well, I can't get it. I cannot get calculus. Well, man, this is the third time you've taken it. You probably aren't going to get it. Let's figure out, should you maybe change your major? You're probably not going to be an engineer. That's not looking good. But we also know that students who start off and they do know where they're going finish faster and more likely on time in a 4-year cycle than an 8-year cycle. If you don't know what you're doing, you keep moving around trying to find something that feels right. If you do know what you're doing, and we call these flight plans, I think we fashioned that after the owl, it means you're going somewhere. Now, where are you going? Let's decide where you're going, and you can take a test, and you can figure out what you're likely to be cut out for, and then we get you on a flight plan which keeps you directed at actually getting to where you're supposed to go. We've had some good successes. These are not easy numbers to move, and they're still not acceptable. They're still not acceptable. But we went from our graduation rate in 1 year from 40% to 45%. That's hard to do because you've got people who, you know, you got 30,000 people in this university who are at all different stages of their career, and figuring out how to get 5% more finished in 6 years is not an easy task. But the provost and his office and the deans really worked hard on this, as well as the advisors, to try to make sure at the Board of Governors metrics we're going to be a poster child. And we're going to go up again this year. Gary will not let me reveal the number until it's completely finalized, but as soon as it is, we will let that out. And then we're going to get a lot better at predictive analysis. And that's simple. That means that you begin to predict how things would happen instead of react to how things did happen. So you know that if you change certain parameters, these outcomes will happen. Well, let's go ahead and predict out everything we would do, every major and what's likely to be the holdup. If it's that our engineers are not doing well in math, well then let's know that in advance and let's deal with that. There's no use in waiting to see it happen again. You need to predict all these things, and there's a lot of ways you could predict those types of things. There's also some things that have not changed about FAU, and these are some things that are changing and changing rapidly that I've just given you. Some things that have not changed is an outstanding faculty. And we have this, it's called a DTOY, Department Teacher of the Year, Distinguished Teacher of the Year. And there are 2 faculty members who've been here quite some time. And this is a very unique award. It's given by the vote of the students. So it's really not something that you can politically motivate. It's given by what students see a faculty member doing. And it's not about grades, getting good grades. It is about who gives you the opportunity to learn. And my first year here, Dan Meerhoff won that award. And Dan is just one of these teachers that just keeps on and on and on. You go to one of his student gatherings, they love him because he keeps them engaged. We went over last year to the College of Engineering's capstone projects, 52 projects with students all over the place doing research as undergraduate students. And then the second person also was from College of Engineering, and that's Javad Hashimi. And Javad just articulates and expresses so well what it means for him to be a faculty member and to be able to serve our students. This is a new FAU, but it's building on the old traditions that I heard those 50-year-old graduates, 50 years since graduation, say was the most important thing about FAU. And that is that the faculty have to be the kind of faculty that they had. And that's what we're trying to create here. We have a lot of campuses. We have 6 campuses. And we've tried to pay special attention to each one. And there's one that I want to highlight now. You saw me at the Davie campus this morning. And that has all these wonderful things, like a studio there. There's a studio here. So we have a chance to get our faculty out and have people around the world hear our faculty. But one of my favorite places to visit, and if you haven't been there, is our northernmost campus. It's called Harbor Branch. If you start at the southernmost campus, which is Dania Beach, it's directly on a deep water ocean port. If you go to the northernmost campus, 113 miles away, that is Harbor Branch, and it's on a deep water, actually a federal port at Harbor Branch. But Harbor Branch is one of these places. My wife is a marine scientist and a natural resource economist, and every time she goes to Harbor Branch, I know she's going to be late coming home, because you cannot go up there and want to leave. I would love to go spend days at Harbor Branch, but it ends up every time, and when Gary and I go, we say we're going to stay a half a day, and we stay all day. But we've asked Shirley Papani to give you a glimpse of some of the fascinating things that is Harbor Branch.
Hi, President Kelly, and hello, FAU Owls. I'm here in Harbor Branch's Exploration Command Center, where we're taking faculty and students to the bottom of the ocean, to places that have never been seen before, all without ever leaving this room. So how does it work? We partner with NOAA during scientific cruises. While a ship is at sea, a remotely operated vehicle is deployed to the bottom of the ocean with a high-definition camera attached to it. Video is beamed back via satellite here, allowing us to see underwater at depths as great as 6,000 meters. We can also talk to those aboard the ship via chat rooms and satellite phone during the dives. What you're seeing here in this video are FAU students participating in a recent cruise off the coast of Hawaii. This is a bold new way of exploring the ocean, and FAU faculty and students are at the forefront of this new wave of science and technology. This is all made possible through our partnership with NOAA and the Cooperative Institute for Ocean Exploration, Research and Technology, which is headquartered here at Harbor Branch.
Ladies and gentlemen, FAU's Greek Unity STEP team is composed of the Multicultural Greek Council and the National Pan-Hellenic Council. With moves that are unique to each organization, the team has come together to blend their styles into one performance, all in the name of unity. Please welcome Unity Step.
go. So now when I'm stomping around the house chasing our 2-year-old, you know where I get it from. Another thing we've changed, and this also is not an easy thing to change, but we recognize the need to constantly raise the reputation of the university, and you raise it by, first of all, showing off your best faculty, by hiring great faculty, but you also have to also look at the student population. And if there's some students that really are not ready to be here, recognize that we need students who are ready to be here. If they're not prepared, it's not up to us to do the remedial work, nor will the state fund us to do remedial work. So when I came here, we had a high school GPR admission minimum of 3.0. Last year, we changed that to a 3.3. And there was a lot of consternation. Financially, you know, if the university can't get the number of students, you have obviously financial problems because the tuition's not paid. We actually had 3,000 more applications than the year before. And that tells us something, I think, that you change the quality and change the brand to where it's perceived to be of a higher quality, then students are more interested in coming. We admitted the largest freshman class we've ever admitted in the history of the university, and we did it by accident. We did not seek to do that. But it didn't cost us anything because the size of the whole university shrunk because now we're graduating kids on time. And my problem's always been when somebody sits in somebody else's seat for 8 years when they could have sat there for 4, somebody else doesn't get the opportunity. So I don't feel guilty at all about pushing on admission standards and on graduation rates, because if you're taking someone else's seat, it's just not fair. So our job is to help get the right people in the right seats and also to help them graduate on time. We also have just adjusted the admission standards again, and we will every year that I'm here. So we went this year from a 3.3 to now a 3.6 minimum admission standard to get into FAU. Everybody's nervous again, as they should be. I want everybody nervous. We can't falter because the standards have gone up to still land that talented class while we begin to work on the other end and making sure that kids are graduating on time. If some kids can graduate college before high school, surely we can get our kids graduated before 6 years. And there's a lot of reasons kids take that long. Many of our students work. I met with a class of students the other day, and I asked, how many of you work? Every single hand went up. Communications class that Peter and I met with, every single hand went up. But we're going to get better every single day, and I think that's the way we have to look at things. We play to win, but we also play to get better every single day. I'm also proud of our student body and the way we have composed a student body. This student body is the most diverse student body in the whole state of Florida. So that says a lot. We just became this year the first time a Hispanic serving university, which means 25% of our students are Hispanic. And that really only came about. We were at 24%, and one of the people in Gary's office said, there's a whole bunch of people who never declared ethnicity. Let's go ask them again. I think it's 500 people or something that never declared their ethnicity. And we could have been a Hispanic serving university for quite a while, but we just, we're learning, we're getting better at data, and now we are a Hispanic serving institution. We're number 27 in the whole United States. And we put diversity in as a platform, meaning that if you listen to people in the employment market and people looking for students, they want people who understand diversity. They are not looking for solo acts. They are looking for people who really understand cultural diversity, who understand race diversity, and also people who understand geographic diversity. And that's one place we still haven't quite gotten where we need to be. We have too many people who are from here. Even if their parents were from somewhere else, they're from here. And we want to try to get more students who are from other places so that our students get a chance to go home with someone from Bogota on spring break or for summer, or go to Spain, or go to Korea, South Korea. South, not north. But it gives them a chance to really see the world. And I had that opportunity more in grad school than as undergraduate. I didn't get that opportunity as an undergraduate. In grad school, I was exposed to all those things. And it does enrich you to see people from all kinds of cultures and all kinds of backgrounds. So diversity will be something very important for us. Let's talk a little bit more about our students. They're fantastic. I want to ask Chad and Perry to come up. Chad Kersey and Perry Wainthal. These two guys are just amazing. I met Chad at this high school that we have. You know, he's one of these guys, he's a grad student here, but he goes over on the weekends. There's always something going on at that high school every weekend. There's never a quiet moment over there. There's always something going on. So I went over and they were doing an underwater robotics competition that day, and there were divers all in the tank, and they were flying their submarines through the water. And I saw Chad with Joel Herbst, and I said, what's that you have on your hand? And he said, this friend of mine and I 3D printed me a hand. So that's Chad's latest, and there's another one. Chad has no fingers on this hand, and he has never been able to heavily use that hand. But he and Perry, who's a grad student as well in the College of Engineering, said, we can fix this. So I want them to tell you a little bit about it. I just love it. You know, I can't say that it gets any better than this.
Thank you, President Kelly. Chad and I are in Introduction to Bioengineering last semester, and I noticed Chad had a diminished hand. So I said, Chad, would you like a hand? Out of the blue, never met him before, I just said, hi, I'm Perry, would you like a hand? To his consternation, he was a little surprised that someone actually had the gall to ask him that. So, well, you know, being older, it's okay to ask questions to people, as long as you ask it politely. So, Chad, would you like a hand? And took you a few moments.
Certainly did. I had no idea what that would lead to. I was totally blown away for a second, and then something beautiful happened. After we first created our first device, our teacher, Dr. Pavlovich, pushed us to make a full hand, and here we have it today, and it's working just fine. And you know, the big press that happened was great for us because doctors started hitting us up. We had patients, parents emailing us, sending us pictures. Please help our son. Please help our daughter. She has a condition just like you. And the great thing is we are able to help these people.
Chad, why don't you all share the story of the 6-year-old in Miami? That's a beautiful story.
Oh, yes. So we get contacted by Dr. Aaron Berger at Miami Children's Nicholas Hospital. And he said, I have a young man who has some dactyl, and we really need to get him a hand. He's been asking me for years to build him a hand. He has a 3D printer, but he couldn't get it to work. So I said, well, yes. So the first hand that we gave Julian was this one here. Turned out this was an accident. I had built that hand. I measured Chad incorrectly. I'll admit it. And I measured him incorrectly. And turned out there's different measurements that I had to take. And I printed this one here, and I assembled it, and I brought it down to Dr. Berger on Saturday. That night, he called the mother up and said, Julian, I have a hand for Julian. Can we meet? So on Tuesday, we go to the clinic in Miramar and meet the family, and the press is there. And so that started this wonderful journey for the Bionic Glove Project that we are founding and getting going. So this hand, Julian wore for 3 months, and I had to build him a new one because children grow. Isn't that amazing? So we built Julian a new hand, looks just like that. He wanted it glow in the dark. What boy wouldn't like a glow in the dark hand? So we asked him what color he wanted it, and his mom said, well, he said, oh, you can make it glow in the dark? Make the whole thing glow in the dark. Mom goes, no. So we just made the gauntlet, the wrist piece here, in glow in the dark for Julian, so his mom now can find him. In the middle of the night. Yes, what are you doing, son? All right. And we printed this one up. This is Chad's hand. He wore this for 6 months. This was 3 months, and we're doing good. We actually have several other families who are requesting hands, and this is really wonderful.
Your hand costs what, $100, and the other ones are $40,000 if you go buy a,
So it's a big difference. Now this is, understand, I am an electrical engineer. I've been an electrical engineer for a really long time. And this is completely mechanical. I can operate here. Completely mechanical. There's no electronics in it. Yes, I want to build sophisticated electronics, but for $100 we can build these and give these to people all over the world in areas that do not have power. And anyone can repair it, anyone can fix it, and thank you.
Proud of you guys. Great work. You know, and so what they've done is give people that may have hidden their hand in their pocket, they now want to show everybody their Iron Man. You know, it's really great, and I'm so proud of you guys. Thank you so much. Very creative work. Another young hero we have is a man by the name of Ricky Santiago. Ricky, are you here? Come on up. Come on up. Our baseball team, I've challenged the athletic program. We want top 25 programs. Our baseball team went as high as number 12 in the country this year. And there was a great heartfelt story that I think the whole team rallied around. And that was, Ricky's one of the star players from that team. 6 of those players ended up going to Major League Baseball draft. Ricky had open heart surgery before the season, and then he played. And so why don't you just share a little bit about your journey back from what must have been a scary, life-threatening event to where you'll now be graduating in May, or is it December? In December. I'll see you in a couple weeks then.
Well, I guess it all started the beginning of my junior year. We kind of found out that I had some issues, and I had to see a whole bunch of cardiologists, and once we figured it out, we decided that it was best to do the surgery in June. So right after my junior year, we did the surgery in June. I was in bed rest for, I don't know, maybe 2.5 months. And pretty much when school started, they cleared me to get out of bed and start, rehabbing and getting better. And baseball started in October, and I just slowly got back into it. And thankfully, I was able to have a good year last year.
We're so proud of you. Great job. Great job. It's been a good year for FAU sports. It was fun watching the baseball team make the tournament and play so well. Our softball team tied for the conference and then got to go to the Conference USA title game and then play in the tournament. Women's soccer has had the best year since 2002. And the coach of our women's soccer team is co-conference coach of the year for Conference USA. And as you know, basketball season is underway, and I hope you will all come out and support our Owls for basketball. Let me close by thanking people who have given enormous gifts to the university. I mentioned some of the gifts earlier, but we're trying to build this athletic and academic complex, which really brings those things together. But it puts you on a national stage, and I know how that works. I have been fortunate to be at a couple places where it has worked extremely well. And that is when you play extremely well in athletics, everybody wants to be a part of it. We had 660,000 people watching that Miami game. If it hadn't lightened and had the delay, those people would have gotten to see a whole lot more of FAU. But it does put you on a national stage and before audiences that you could never afford to reach. If you look at Ohio State right now, their applications are up, I think, 70% over what they were 5 years ago. It's because the demand, and we're a lot easier place to live than Columbus, Ohio. This is not bad here. I don't ever care about being cold again. So, but the Schmidt family came through this year for us with the largest gift in the history of the university. Their names are on so many things. This university is so blessed to have donors who have continuously showed interest, whether it was the med school, College of Science, the arts and letters. They've always wanted, the Schmidt family's always wanted FAU to be great, and we want to make them proud. We want them to step back and see that their gifts have truly made a great national university. Christine Lynn recently stepped up after having done previously the College of Nursing, stepped up and did the sports medicine piece of the new complex. Ellie Baldwin, who has done the President's Home, the President's Box at the football game, is doing the Hall of Fame or Victory Hall of the complex as well. And with that said, let's build that family bigger. Family of supporters, people who are caring about this university becoming great. Let's show them that we are going to be the best university, fastest improving university, and proceed with unbridled ambition. I'm very proud to be your president. And I thank you all for being here with us today. And if it's okay with you, could we have the rock cellos one more time? All right, rock cellos. Fantastic, guys. Thank you so much. So you want to recruit him to FAU too, is that right? Yeah. All right, we got both of you. Oh, this is the other way around. That's right. You're the younger. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Join us in the Royal Palm Room. This concludes the ceremony. Go Owls.